some minimalistic flaws in Reverend Insanity. So far as I've been reading it is just absolutely well written. It's very, very good, and I'm not a fan of anime at all. I'm not a fan of manga. I'm not a fan of these fantasy worlds. When it comes to social deduction, anything that I prefer to read, I prefer it to be real. Even Death Note was very boring to me. Even Johan from Monster was very boring and unrealistic to me. Um, Death Note has some decent parts, but nothing comparable to this, and felt more like a waste of time than anything. Reverend Insanity does not at all feel like a waste of time. I wish it was a more real life iteration instead of it taking place in this fantasy land, but I understand some people that are fascinated with this stuff. It's just not my forte. But it's very good, and I'm not going to deny that. And for someone who doesn't even like this type of stuff to say that it's very good tells you something about it, right? Overall, would I say it's a masterpiece? I don't know. I'll say it's well written and leave it at that. I believe that the writer has very high intuitive intelligence when it comes to understanding the subconscious mind and knows how to indirectly affect the subconscious mind as they're writing. I can't say indirect because it does feel intentional. I believe that they know what they're doing, but maybe not. I think that they know that they're capable of this ability to subconsciously affect us while we're reading it. And I think that they do it in an indirect way. I actually don't think that. I think they know that they're capable of it, but I don't think as they're writing that they're actively thinking about, all right, this is how I'm going to do this so that it will affect the mind this way. I think they just do it, and then after they're done writing, they reflect on it and they're like, man, I'm good. That's what I feel about the writer. I forgot his name. Is it Guzu Ren? Is that it? That might be wrong. I don't remember the writer's name, but you know who I'm talking about. Flaws with it. Every flaw that I've noticed in Reverend Insanity seems to be a double-edged sword. The biggest flaw is this constant, consistent over-explanation from many, many side characters. And it is the one thing about Reverend Insanity that should make it boring, should make it dull. Somehow it doesn't. And it's very time consuming, and it takes away from the lessons that I want to learn while reading it. But it's double edged because by doing this, the writer is teaching us to not behave like these people, to not over explain. For example, you'll see repeatedly the different characters saying the same thing. Oh my god, how can a C grade junk loser like that, a C grade trash like that, accomplish this goal? And you will see this repetitive nature of them doing this again and again and again and again and again. And you'll see different parts where the repetition is in different things. When they explain a new character, they're like, no way, that's By9 Bane. That he's one of the top tier, most powerful B grade masters of all time. Like, that's not what's said, but you'll see what I mean. And it's this repetition, this repetitious behavior, this over glorifying glaze on these characters that just, it's very annoying, and it's very repetitive, and they do it again and again and again and again. Somehow, and I'm still trying to understand, I don't understand it yet, Somehow the writer was capable of doing this without dulling the effect of the novel itself. And I don't know how he did this. I don't know how he achieved this. Because this writing, this redundant writing, should backfire. It should dull the narrative. It should make it more boring and make you want to stop reading it. And somehow he effectively made it to where it doesn't dull the narrative at all. And I'm still trying to process how that's possible. I don't understand it yet, but I do know the effect that it has for me reading it is it's not as annoying as you would think it would be. Instead, it trains my brain to not behave in that way in my own life, to not overglaze or over explain things because I do not like that repetitious behavior. And in the same sense, it also teaches me to stop looking at these, to stop reading these parts that are not too important. And my brain eventually just sees it as filler. And my brain knows how to filter out the filler and how to maintain the stuff that's actually important in this book, in this novel. Um, Definitely double edged. I'm surprised. I thought something like this would just be nothing more than annoying and bad. But that's one flaw. Another flaw is people tend to call this book very realistic. That's not the case at all. Real life doesn't work this way. I think the writer themselves do think strategically a lot, and so they miscompensate everyone else for thinking that everyone else is thinking strategically too. To some degree, I think people are, but some more than others. Some people just live in the moment without thinking about stuff that's happening. People don't tend to always think about their manipulative actions, and people, and even like the best manipulators, just do it subconsciously, just do it naturally. They're not actively thinking about how can I manipulate this person. That is how real life tends to work, unfortunately. It's and yeah, there's people who learn this stuff. They learn how to be manipulative and they apply it to their life, but it's not as common as you would think. And with this writer, it feels like this writer thinks that it's a lot more common than how it actually is, how it plays out. However, they're writing in a fictional world, and the world is based on that level of manipulation to where everyone is actively thinking this way. So maybe they are aware of that, right? And I'm just making an estimation based off how they write. But this is a double-edged sword too, because there's people that are calling it realistic. It's not really. It's not realistic at all. There's manipulations that are realistic in that the way that the manipulation is written could work in real life, and it's very impressive because I can see the scenarios where this type of bureaucracy could definitely be effective in real life, especially the cold shoulder effect. But overusing silence as a weapon would backfire way more than just saying something. People who are annoying have a better tendency to actually have an influence on people's minds than people that people respect. And whether you believe that or not, you can experience it yourself. If you say nothing about a topic that you want to influence, nothing's going to happen. You have to speak in order to land that influence. You can't, it's very difficult to influence someone through pure silence. Now, if there's an emotional barrage and you choose to use silence as a tool, that works very well. If someone feels a certain way about you and you ignore them, you use silence against them, then yes, silence becomes a very powerful tool. But it depends in different aspects of life onto how to use the silence correctly. Overall, the book is very good, and the manipulation tactics are realistic to a degree, but they're very impressive. And I'll say that while reading it, I was impressed again and again and again and again, very deeply so. I would give this novel an 8.9 so far based on what I've read of it. And from what I've heard, it gets better and better, so that might change as time goes on. So we'll have to see.